Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Robinson. I am the Medicine Liaison Librarian at the University of Kentucky Medical Center Library. Today we're going to be talking about publishing and sharing in health sciences. And a lot of this is interdisciplinary. It can be even outside health sciences. And again, as I said, we're going to be recording the session so people can come back and view this later. We'll also be uploading the links and the PDF of the slides to our guide, which will send the URLs out to you later. Okay, so publishing and sharing in health sciences. So first I want to start with this new guide. We just started redesigning it. I'm going to go on and open it up to show you some of these resources. We're actually in the PowerPoint I have open access and journal selection. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So this is the guide. We've organized it into 3 sections: elevate your research, organize your research, and publish your research. And I'm going to be talking about different resources and services that the library provides you in each of these 3 steps. So we're going to start with elevating your research. Here we have information about citation analysis. We have several tools that can help you with citation analysis. We have Web of Science as well as Scopus. And actually there's some citation analysis even in our EBSCO databases like CINAHL. The Plum X, I believe, is in CINAHL. And we also provide services with Google Scholar. So if you have any questions about looking at the SciPy feature, you can reach out to the Medical Center Library about that as well. We also have some information here about H-index and impact factor. So you know how to calculate your H-index. We have a formula here. Impact factor is probably the thing that we get most questions about. I give you a formula here, but we also provide 2 resources that provide you with impact factor. We have journal citation reports, which is a product also created by the creators of Web of Science. It does a 2- and 5-year calculation period. So it provides those 2 numbers on impact, and that's what's really the original impact factor. Scopus is another database we offer access to, and they have something called CiteScore. And they also the CiteScore is another measure of journal impact, even though impact factor is technically referring to JCR. So CiteScore uses a 3-year window. So that's a little bit different. I don't have a favorite on this. I think JCR is probably the most commonly used resource, but you have access to both of these as a University of Kentucky faculty, staff, or student. Okay, so we're going to go on to organize your research. I'm going to talk about some of these tools more in depth, but we have information here for you to refer to. I'm actually going to show you what some of these tools look like momentarily. So we have Open Science Framework as well as DMP tools. So I'm going to come back to these in a moment. So we're going to go on to publish your research. So this is kind of about journal selection. So if you have questions about identifying potential journals or choosing the right journal, these are tools here that we both have access to or ones that are freely available that can help you with this. So there are some tools here like Journal Guide, Springer Nature's Journal Suggester, and then I don't know exactly how to say this, EDA&Z Journal Selector. These are all tools you can put in your abstract or some keywords and it will suggest journals that might be useful or that might accept your article or fits the topic or publication interest of the journal. There's also Elsevier up here. So these are definitely publisher centric. There are other ones that aren't. Some of these are not produced by a specific publisher. But just be aware, if you're going to be looking at Springer Nature, it's going to be looking at Springer Nature titles. If you're going to look at Elsevier, it's going to be looking at Elsevier titles. It's not really going to share titles that are only published by EBSCO or some other resource like that. We also have, again, a journal ranking. So this is another way you can select a journal is looking at impact factor. The higher the impact factor, the more reach that you have in theory. So this is another great tool to use. I also recommend looking at journal acceptance rate. So of course, those who have lower acceptance are going to be more prestigious. So this is just another metric you can use when evaluating a journal. And then also journal availability. So if the journal is subscribed to by more people, or if it is even open access, where all the articles in it are freely available, then you're going to have more users that might be drawn to your article. So that's something to consider. That said, open access journals often do have APCs, which are author processing fees. And I forget what the C stands for, but essentially it's a fee that you have to pay, or article processing fees. It's a fee you have to pay in order to have your journal published in that journal. There are journals that are a mix where there's an embargo for 12 months on new journal or on the new articles, unless you pay for your open access. So there's several different models, but if you ever have any questions about open access journals, please feel free to reach out to the Medical Center Library. We're happy to help navigate which ones are open access, which ones are kind of what you're looking for your article. And of course, these are questions you can ask yourself about a journal. Is it peer reviewed? Does it have an expedited review process if that's desired? Who is your audience? These are just questions that you can ask yourself when evaluating a journal. Okay, a little bit about predatory publishing. We do have some suggestions on how to evaluate a publisher. If someone reaches out to you, maybe you want to run their journal through these type of questions. And then again, here are some tools that can help you with finding open access, freely available journals, but also those that, so I will say open access and predatory publishing are not the same thing. Open access you do often have to pay APCs, but predatory publishers also kind of have that model. So if you ever run into a situation where you're questioning the journal or the publisher, please feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you answer that question. So here again, open access is not predatory publishing. The advantages of it is that it's freely available, so you have a wider audience. You often can retain copyright, which is not usually the case in traditional publishing. And really, it's a global initiative. I think a lot of libraries, a lot of universities are supporting open access publishing. Even with the NIH and NEH and NSF, a lot of the granting institutions are now requiring you to publish the data you produce with grant funds. So they're even supporting open access to data that can be reused and new questions can be asked about it. So again, open access is a really good thing, and I think it can be confused with predatory publishing, but they're not the same thing. So some open access journals, again, that's one of the disadvantages is that they often require you to pay a fee to publish. That said, if you're aiming for an open access journal or a place to submit your data, you can write that into your grant as to have the funds in order to do that. They are fairly new and therefore may have a very low impact factor. There are a lot of, especially Springer journals now, that are moving toward kind of a mixed. Some people pay the open access fee, other ones do not. It's really up to you. But you can find different journals with different methods of publishing. So if you ever have questions, if you're running into something like green access or gold access or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you with those questions. And then UK Knowledge, I'm going to go on and talk about that. I can show that screen here. So this is UK Knowledge. It is the University of Kentucky repository. It is sponsored and maintained by UK libraries. Often you can put your research into UK Knowledge, even if it's been published somewhere else. Adrian Ho is actually the librarian who managed this. So if you have any question, you can reach out to us or to Adrian, and he'd be happy to help, and so would we. And I can actually show you, I actually have some things in here. Actually, I probably should type my first name too. So here are some things that I've done here at UK and things at my prior position. So if you click this, you can see that I published, or I presented this poster with a colleague from the University of Louisville, and this is what it looks like. It's also available in BPress, which I'll show you. Well, this is BPress is the platform, but I'm going to show you your an option to use a selected works account, and I'll show you that momentarily. So that's easy. That's pretty much how you search UK Knowledge. We have had researchers reach out to us asking if there's a place that they can store their data because it was funded by either a state or a federal granting institution. And we do allow data sets to be added into our repository. We do offer support to help find a subject-specific database or data repository that might be more beneficial to your data sets. But if there's not one that exists, then we can definitely put it into UK Libraries. Adrian has developed a template to help you describe your data using metadata standards, and then we can import it in, and you can have a direct URL, and it's searchable as well. So really great things with UK Knowledge. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Okay, so I think that was all about open access and journal selection. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop it into the chat box and Kayla can interrupt me and ask those questions. Okay, I already talked about UK Knowledge. You'll get these slides. You'll be able to click on this link directly. You can also Google it or go to our website. Okay, selected works. So this tool I really personally like. It can go with you to different institutions. If an institution has a BPress, it will automatically change to that university's headers and things like that. So selected works provide you with a place to collect and share all of your scholarly work. This can be teaching material, bibliographic information, research, data. It can be lots of things. So I'm actually going to show you all my selected works. So here's my selected works account. This is the back end. There's also a front profile. You can actually search for researchers as well. So if I open up that, you can see that it's going to take me to UK Knowledge because they're affiliated products. And you can go through and you can see all the different researchers at UK who have a selected works account. And what's really nice is that you get a simple URL you can share on your CV or on another site. You can put in general information, a picture, and then what's really great is you can create links to all of your work. So here you can see I have a recent article I've been working on. I have PowerPoint presentations, some more articles, and these are my recent works. Down here are my articles. If you keep going, here's my presentations, and then here's my poster presentations. And you can really adapt this to whatever you want. You can have different sections for different areas you've published in. You can rename any of them. So it's a really great tool. And you can link to these on your CV as well. Each one of these, if you click on it, has a unique URL that you can link to, even at that article or project level. It's really easy to add work. So you go here, you can upload a file, you can import works, you can add a direct link. So often I will link to the PubMed citation of a journal article that I've published. So I'll add a link. Or if you upload a file, this is what I use when I'm doing like a poster presentation or a presentation I did at a conference. You can just select your file. So I'm just going to pretend like I'm uploading one. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to go to I'm just going to pretend I'm doing this. If I hit open, it's uploading it. And then what you're going to get is an area where you can edit content. So you can say the type of work, it's an article, or it's a presentation, or it's some type of course syllabus or exam model or handout. And then you can put that content in here. And you can select subjects or disciplines. when you did it, what the course was, all of that can be added here. So I'm going to remove this and hit cancel because I don't want to add that to my work. But this is a really great tool. If you have any questions, again, reach out to us. We're happy to help. Okay, so that's all about selected works. Okay, the next one to talk about is Open Science Framework. And if you've attended our tips and tricks, I think I actually mentioned this maybe in that one. Open Science Framework is a freely available tool. It helps you research and discover other projects, design your study, collect and analyze your study, and publish your reports. I think OSF is a really great tool for non-funded research. Or if you're working with people who are not at UK. So OneDrive's a great tool for sharing information, but it doesn't work if you don't have a UK email address. So OSF is a great alternative to share projects, data, code, protocols, and keep it all in a centralized location. You can add people from all over the country or world. You can also control your access. So you, at each component level, you can create rules on who can view specific areas of the project. So that's really great. If you're working with graduate students, maybe you only want them to have a certain portion of the project. Enhanced workflow. So it also connects your favorite tools. Here, it links to all of these tools. It links to ORCID, Zotero, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and different servers as well, like GitHub and Amazon. So it's really great in that it does all of that for you. It is dependable, and that's one thing I cannot stress enough about this product. It has enough funds to preserve content for 50 years. So it has a trust that's been set up to fund it. So what's really nice is that if you're working on some type of data project or you're submitting a grant, you can say, I'm going to be storing this information in OSF, and it has funds to keep it preserved for 50 years. And that's really strong when developing a grant proposal. So that's OSF. I'm actually going to show you all a little bit of what OSF looks like. So this is my OSF. If I click my home button, this is what the dashboard looks like. You can see I have several projects going on in here. Here are some projects I've actually recently worked on. And OSF is a really great tool for publishing protocols. There's actually a protocol search, a registry search that you can use to search all the different protocols in OSF. A lot of journals and Prospero too do not publish scoping review protocols or rapid review protocols, and OSF does because it's not really, it's not a peer-reviewed system. So this is kind of what I was talking about. You can have different components in here, and you can make these visible for different people. You can add different contributors. You can also get a DOI, which is great because it's a persistent URL. That said, OSF asks that you not create DOIs unless you're 100% sure you want it to be publicly available, because they do pay for those DOIs. So please, if you're working on a project, make sure it's ready, and that's the one you're going to be using to publish with. Again, here is the registration for this project. If you click on it, you can see I've registered a protocol. Here's pre-registration. It's a public registration, and here's all of the data that we put into it. And then over here is the DOI. And I'll show you in a minute how you can import that into things like ORCID and other areas. So that's a quick rundown of OSF. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments or the chat button. Okay, ORCID ID. An ORCID ID is a persistent and unique identifier for researchers that distinguishes you from every other researcher. And what's really nice is that ORCID IDs, give you a unique identifier, kind of like a DOI is to an article. So if there's people with your same name, or if you've published under different names, you can tie that to one ORCID ID, and that's unique to you. It makes your work more discoverable. It distinguishes you between you and other authors with identical or similar names. It links together all of your work into one place, makes it easier for funders to find you, and streamlines submissions to publishers. A lot of funders are now requiring you to have an ORCID ID, and some journals are highly recommending that you do. And it's freely available. We have instructions here on how to create one. Don't forget to include your ORCID ID on your selected works or on your CV or any other publication or grant you're applying for. I will show you a little bit of ORCID ID or ORCID. So this is ORCID. This is my account. There's a public view, a public version. So here's my ORCID ID. Again, I link to my selected works account. And then here is all of my work that's publicly available. You can choose how much of this you want to be available, if it can be available to everyone, to trusted parties, or to no one, only you. You can put your memberships. You can say if those can be viewed by everyone. And then here's your articles. So here's this DOI I was telling you about from OSF. What's really nice is that you can add works by searching and adding a link, DOI, a PubMed ID. And what's really great, the PubMed ID and the DOI work very similar. If I was to put this DOI in here and I say retrieve work details, it's going to pull all the information for me and then add it to my list of works. So I'm going to hit cancel. So I've already have this one added in here, but this is a really great way to track your research. Often journals will automatically import in using this search and link function. Again, this is freely available. UK is not a member institution of it, but you can have an account. I recommend using a general like email, maybe not an institutional email, because it can go with you. It doesn't have to stay at the institution you're at. So using a more general email, like a Google email or a Yahoo or any type of personal email might be a little bit better for you long term. Okay. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about data management and resources and services. So I always start with like why manage data. A 2013 study found that poor data management practices have led to a concerning loss of scientific research data, with 80% of data unavailable after 20 years. So the federal government has really taken a step, and other granting institutions have taken a step in really targeting data management practices. You have to have a data management plan, and we actually offer a tool called DMP tool, which I'll talk about momentarily. And these plans are supposed to say how you're going to be preserving your data. Where is it going to be? What data are you collecting? And a lot of metadata, so data about data. So you'll be able to share this. They're also requiring you to share your data. So again, why manage it? To be a responsible researcher. Your data could be used by another researcher to answer another question. So building science upon itself. You can collaborate better, be a good steward of the funds and the data you're collecting. And what is better in science is to reproduce results. So reusability and reproducibility, both making the data available to reuse and reproduce, as well as to build upon with new science. Again, as I've said, NIH, NEH, and NSF and journals even are requiring you to manage your data and submit it for publication, or to submit it into an open access repository or a data repository somewhere where it's available and can be linked to. JAMA and Nature are two big Nature and JAMA are two journals that are really big that are doing this, as well as IMLS, NEH, NSF, and NIH, like I've said. So everything kind of circles around this data lifecycle. This is the one produced by Data One Lifecycle. I've made it colorful. There's just kind of a black and white one. But these are all the different parts of what they say is the data lifecycle. There are various life cycles you can look at. I like this one because it's pretty simple. So I'm going to come back to that Data One lifecycle with how the UK libraries can help. We can help you plan, describe, preserve, and discover your data. Planning using things like DMP tool. Planning entails describing that data, the data you'll be collecting, how it's going to be compiled, how it's going to be accessible, all the way from creation to the end of its lifespan. So you'll be having to talk to all of those areas. We can help you describe. So librarians are really great at metadata. That's what we do, is we describe information resources. So we have lots of different metadata standards that can help you describe your data. We also have resources. I'll show you our research data management guide here momentarily and go into DMP tool a little bit. But again, we have all these resources on there. We can help you preserve. So we can help you in ensuring that your data is submitted to an appropriate long-term archive. So making your data available on a website isn't preservation. Websites can die, data can be lost. Putting it on a flash drive is not preservation. It really is looking at backups upon backups, looking at data centers, data warehouses, finding data, specialized data repositories that are looking at long-term archival preservation. And we can help you with that as well. And as well, we can help you discover. We can help you find data sets that exist already. We can help you find where you can search for them, what government agencies might have them. And we can also help you look at other data repositories where data already exist. Okay, I'm going to come back to that, but I'm going to go into our Research Data Services Guide. So this has been recently redesigned, I believe, by the Research Data Services Committee. I'm actually on that committee, so if you have any questions about data services, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, we have aimed it around the 4 areas that we can really help. We can help you plan, describe, share, and find. So plan, the big tool that libraries provides access to is DMP tool. And there's a lot of content on this guide, but if you have any questions, you can reach out to the committee or to me, and we can help you find the right part of the guide. Here's DMP tool. We're actually going to be adding a video back here to this original guide. If I go back to Elevate Your Research, I believe, no, it's under Organize Your Research, maybe. Yes, we're going to be adding a video on how to set up a DMP tool account here. So please come back and view that video. It's a few steps. And we also have this here that walks you through using screenshots. But I'm going to go on and go here to DMP tool. And I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to use the institution. UK does have an institutional membership. I'm going to type University of Kentucky, click go, and then you'll log in with your Link Blue account. And then since I already had an account, it automatically logged me in. So DMP tools are a really great place to create a data management plan. If your grant is requiring you to do that, if you just want to create a data management plan to support your non-funded research, you can do that here. You can create a plan by going here, and then you can select a title for your project, and then the funding organization. So if I'm going to do test here, and then if I go to select the primary funding organization, if I do IMLS, Institute of Museum and Library Services, and I create plan, it's then going to give me all the fields I need to have filled for that grant. So every grant institution has different rules and regulations for what has to be included in a DMP or data management plan. And this tool automatically tells you what you need to fill out. So if I go to contributors, I have my date. If I go to plan overview, it's going to give me all the instructions I need. And then as well as writing a plan. It's going to tell me all the different areas I need to fill in. And then what it's going to do is create a PDF for you that you can download and attach to your grant. So this is a really great tool. You don't have to go find all the rules and regulations for creating a data management plan for NSF, for example. You can just go here, select the funding institution, and then fill out and answer the questions in here. So that's one really great part of DMP tool. There's also different tools you can find. I'm trying to find the last one I wanted to show you here. Public plans. So if you go to public plans, you can actually search for plans that have been shared, that are publicly available, people have given access to. That said, they're not always good. I'm not like, there are good and bad ones. So this is a great place to go look at and see if there's one that's close to what you're aiming for with the funder, for example. So if I wanted to do IMLS, I can hit search and then I can see some openly available ones that have been submitted to IMLS for a grant. And then you can click on them, download them, and view the PDF. So this is a really great place just to go look and see what's out there. So that's a little bit about DMP tool. Again, we're going to be having a video that will show you how to set up an account. As you can see, as I showed you, it's multiple steps, but that is a great tool. We also have information about describing your data. These are all the different metadata standards. What I really recommend is this README file template. If I click on this README file, this is something I got from a training a few years ago, and this is a general code book. So it is a really great place to start in knowing what your data is, how you're going to be collecting it, how you're going to be sharing it. It's going to have all the information that you can include with your data when you submit it to a repository. It's going to help a new researcher understand what you were saying and doing with your data. Okay, I'm going to go back. We also have information about sharing, naming guidelines, naming formats. And again, the Research Data Services Committee at UK Libraries is happy to help you with any of these areas. If you need help developing a naming convention, if you need help with DMP tool, if you want someone to review your data management plan, we're happy to do that. And again, we have sharing your data. Here's UK Knowledge. We also have some different areas here. So that's a little bit about share and then find. So these are some of the most often used places to submit data repositories or to search for data repositories. So you can search for different repositories using RE3 data. There's Dryad, which is a digital repository for data as well. Dryad is nice because they try to find us a place that even if it's not one of their repositories, if it fits better with a very specific subject repository, they'll help you find that repository as well. And then again, we have different resources here. We also have a data sources guide. So if you're interested in finding different data sources, that's there. And then again, we do have some data storage information. And then we do have a mapping specialist, a GIS mapping specialist, part of our data group. So if you have any questions about mapping, Sarah's great and an expert on that. We also sometimes offer events or trainings. If you'd like to set up a training on data management practices, please feel free to reach out to us. Okay. And again, that contact form is right here. Contact us for research data management support. So you can submit a form to us and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Okay. Also on back to the Research and Publishing and Health Science Guide, I do link to some of these tools. So like the Research Data Management Guide can be found here. We link to DMP tool, we link to OSF. I'm going to add ORCID here as well. So this is a one-stop shop for you as a member of the health sciences community to come and find access to all these resources. We also put a link to NIH public access policy. There's an interactive PDF here that will help you answer questions about the public access policy. So if you say A, it's going to jump you down to A. So it's an interactive tool that's great to use. We also have accounts to set up. This is a tool that goes over a lot of the things in our tips and tricks video, but it's also available on our research and publishing and health sciences guide. The last thing I want to talk about is Endnote. I talk about this in almost all of the sessions. Endnote is a bibliographic manager. It will help you cite while you write. It will help you manage your citations. You can share them through Endnote. It's a really great tool. We have instructions again on the research and publishing and health sciences guide. It is going to be updated, just as a heads up. X20 is coming soon. It should be launching in the next few weeks or maybe next month. Once we know if it's up to the task and there's nothing that needs to be fixed with it, it will be live for everyone to use. But of course, if you have any questions, please attend one of our Endnote trainings or reach out to us. And then it's time for any questions you all may have. Okay, if there's no questions, we'll stay on a little bit longer. And again, the URL will be sent to you all with a link to the PDF as well as to the resources we talked about and guide. Thank you.